Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is Monday going into Tuesday now, March 14th into the 15th, but it is still our Monday Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Glad you could join us and be here with us tonight, and we will be going through all of the relevant news of the day and also talking about various topics of discussion here. Obviously, the bigger news cycle thing now has shifted over from Charlie Sheen over to the Japanese earthquake. And, of course, that's what they all want us talking about now. And now we're all supposed to be very opinionated and fighting with each other over all of this stuff. So, without any... Without any doubt, I have a lot to say on the subject tonight, so I'll be giving you my opinion, commentary, all the rest of it here tonight on the subject. I'll be going through definitely what it is and what it ain't. Let's just put it like that. But glad you could join us here tonight. We'd love to hear from you in email. If you want to email in any questions, comments, anything during the show tonight for me to cover. I think I've got a few here. I've got to go through the stack and see if I've got some from the past few days, but I'll go through and see what I've got. But you can email me, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And I'll do my best to get into any of the questions and comments you might have. Topics of discussion. We're also going to be reading again tonight where we left off on our last broadcast. And that is out of William Bramley's book, The Gods of Eden. So we'll pick up where we left off last time and continue in that tonight. And speaking of that broadcast that we did that night, I thought all the shows that we did last week were important. I thought all the shows that there had pertinent things in them that you needed to hear. And we started reading from this book. Well, also in the heart of why we did our last Moonbat show last week, right in the middle of that, I was commenting at the beginning of the show that it seems it's a lot of times now there's news coming out on into the night. So doing some of these late night Moonbat shows sometimes gives us the opportunity to actually talk about some of these things before everybody else. And the Japanese earthquake was just starting to happen during the last broadcast. And it's amazing some of the things that I had said initially when it initially started happening that have now come to fruition, such as, I saw it kind of as my opinion as being this thing where, well, I mean, look at what's happening. We've had all this scaremongering and all this stuff they've been talking about popping off in Libya over the past couple of weeks. They've been trying to provocateur that situation the same way they provocateured Egypt, the same way they were attempting to provocateur Yemen now. And with the rising gas prices, there needed to be something else. And as you know, those of you who have heard me talk about this many times, a continuation of what I have termed, it was a term that I first used, the disaster economy, I started talking about that. Well, they'll start affecting the markets. Well, that already happened. You see, this is my whole point. And I really wasn't wanting to get to this point this early in the show, but I guess I'll go ahead and get to it. I've already seen this, and I know that there are already going to be people that are going to try to get me in this argument. And I'm not going to be in it because it's not a fucking argument if you ask me. because it doesn't fucking matter. But trying to convince yourself and find some way to rationalize it and find some way to analyze it or anything else, whether or not this was you believe this was a natural event, the disaster in Japan, or man-made through HAARP or anything else, I'm going to be the first one to tell you right here, right now, does not matter. It does not matter. I don't give a rat's ass. Now, look, we talked about initially when this happened, this article that came out here. Let me go back through my stack and see if I can find this. Did approaching supermoon cause Japan quake? And of course, like, oh no, it didn't. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other. Well, here's where I'm coming from. Just like when I told you they were going to shoot down this or basically cause to fail this NASA Glory satellite last week, because the elite are quite aware of cyclical changes. They're quite aware of things that happen with the sun, with the moon. This is part of the ancient knowledge that is kept from us by the priest class and then used against us for their gain. So I'm not going to get into some argument with you about, whether or not there were rainbow-colored clouds over Japan before this happened, and that's a telltale sign for HAARP or anything else. The fact of the matter is, this has helped the elite further their agenda, further the plan on unimpeded, and has allowed them to continue to still not tell you and I the things about the knowledge that they have access to. So I want to make it point blank clear to you. Do not try to, don't call me or sending me emails saying, what do you think about the Japanese quake? Do you think it was HAARP? I'm here to tell you right now, I don't give a shit. There are people dead. The disaster economy is going full bore. They are benefiting and making their schemes and their plans. They are causing a friction in the global economy that will cause an equilibrium, which will then cause a reset and cause certain parts of their economy to jump back up, because they're going to capitalize off this 7 ways to Sunday. Everybody's been saying, well, you think they'll launch a war, to fix the economy? Now, look at this. They don't have to. They're already calling it the worst since World War II in Japan, right? Well, there's your disaster economy right there. So, again, does it really fucking matter? I mean, even if you could prove it 100 ways to Sunday, does it fucking matter whether they used HAARP or whether they didn't? So I'm just here to tell you, that's not, I'm not going to have a dog in that race. I'm aware of the technology. I'm aware it exists, but I'm also aware that there are people who try to use these conspiracy memes as almost a second way to make people more apathetic. I mean, has anybody else but me not noticed that? I don't know. I've just started to notice more and more that there tends to be this conspiracy meme thing where somehow, because you're blaming it on a government conspiracy, or you're blaming it on some, government weapon or something, that somehow negates the impact or the importance of the event. Thousands of people have still died. We don't know what the repercussions are going to be from this, because there's just so much disinfo and everything flying around and people screaming over you. There's one end of people saying, oh, we're going to, the United States is going to get hit with radiation, or we're not, and this, that, and the other. And then that's probably another fight people are going to try to get me into. I know I'm probably supposed to get up here and rant and rave and yell about Alex Jones because, you ignore the real people that are involved. I think, well, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that, because I'm sorry, I kind of felt like I was the only one that was seeing that. I mean, am I not the only one that sees that? I mean, I feel that that's what they do. I think that 9/11 has been like that. It's supposed to be just because, they blew these buildings up, or, it wasn't what they told us it was on TV. And because it was, a job they pulled off to further their agenda, somehow we're supposed to, forget about the fact that real people died in this thing. And people were affected by it. I mean, you should already know at this stage of the game, and whatever point you're at in your life, not to believe what they tell you on that goddamn boob tube anyway, right? And we were all adults here. We should all know that they've never told us the truth on that goddamn thing ever anyway. And I know people are probably going to expect me to come here and rant and rave and yell on Alex Jones because he's been fear-mongering this and radiation's coming, folks, whatever. Well, first off, I don't think you or I or anybody else have enough information to garner whether or not this is a threat or whether it isn't. But at the same time, I predicted that this exact thing would happen in 2009. You can go back and listen to my broadcast I did on Oracle Broadcasting back in 2009 when the swine flu stuff broke out. And people were, falling all over themselves. Everybody was attacking me and Lee Rogers because me and Lee Rogers were the only people that went on radio and said that, this is bullshit. This is fear-mongering. This is hype. They're trying to buffer the medical industry so they can get all this money and this economy pumped into this antivirus, and boom, that's a boon for their company to help them make it through the financial crisis, and all their CEOs will get good bonuses for Christmas. And the one thing that I warned about, go back again, listen to those shows I did in 2009. I said in those shows that one of the most dangerous things that Alex Jones could be facilitating is that he's going to fearmonger all these things just like he did Y2K, right? Classic boy that cried wolf scenario. That's why Alex Jones is the little boy that cried wolf. I warned you of this in 2009. And I said, what's going to happen is that one day there is going to be a threat. And Alex Jones is going to be on his show ranting and raving about it. And it's indeed going to be a threat. But by that time, because this ass clown has cried wolf so many times, people are just going to go, oh, well, it's just, there's Alex Jones fear-mongering again. Oh, and then what's going to happen? People are not going to act when they need to act, and a lot of people are going to die. And I'm quite worried right now that scenario may be very likely playing out right now as we speak. Because, yes, there is a threat from the radiation. I mean, we just had, they've had the fourth fire in a nuclear plant in the past 2 days. The 3 gone meltdown? I can't even keep up with all this shit that's coming out now. But I'm not going to get up here and fearmonger you and tell you that we're all going to die from radiation poisoning. Look, I mean, what I'm concerned with is that, there's been I'll tell you something very odd and interesting. Sodium iodide is something that everybody should know about and always have around just in case. It protects the pituitary gland, or is it the pituitary gland, or is it the thyroid? No, I'm sorry, thyroid. It protects the thyroid gland from radiation exposure and keeps you from getting cancer and dying from radiation. Well, it's usually readily available. I mean, most Walgreens or CVS, you can go up to the pharmacy. In fact, try as an experiment. It's cheap. It's only about $5. Go down to your local CVS and go up to the pharmacy and ask them if you can buy some sodium iodide. It's you can get it without a prescription over the counter. It's only about $5 for a box. You need about 130 milligrams per adult. I think about half that for kids, but it should tell you. But anyway, so this is something that's always been available, and in fact, a lot of these life extension guys, the guys that are in life extension stuff like Ray Kurzweil and others, they take it on a regular basis as a part of their diet regimen because they say that it helps inhibit cancer, period. And it boggles my mind that for the most part, most people don't know about this, or until basically today have been unaware of sodium iodide. It's there, it's readily available. It's very cheap. I'll tell you an odd thing. In fact, last week I had found some on Amazon that was very cheap. I thought it was like, $10 for 2 big boxes of these things. And I was kind of like looking at a book I was going to get that somebody has suggested to me. And I looked and I'd seen those there. And I just said, hey, you know what? I might as well get some of those in case I need them at some point. And it's kind of funny that, I just, got those and thought I'd save them in case, ever needed them or something. And then I come then the earthquake happens. And then today I hear there's a run on this stuff. And I'm going, well, that's pretty unbelievable. This is something that everybody should know about all the time. There shouldn't be, if there's a run on something, that means that 9 times out of 10, that run was created artificially. They did that during Y2K. They create these fake runs on things. That's the same thing they did during the swine flu thing. See, I see so many similarities between the swine flu thing, which, of course, Jones was fear-mongering as well as Y2K, and this fear of radiation and the run on the sodium iodide and all that. I see a very similar, things that really are red flags to me. So my standpoint on this is that we have to be very careful. This definitely, to me, falls under the best example category for that type of thing that I described back in 2009, which is this: how do you discern and how do you begin to gain for yourself the knowledge of what is the Chicken Little syndrome, or the sky is falling, or, the boy that cried wolf scenario? There's a wolf. There's a wolf. Oh, there's not a wolf. How do you discern what is that and what isn't? You know what I mean? It's a very difficult thing, because there's a very real possibility that this radiation could be a threat to a lot of people on the West Coast. I mean, even as far in as Texas, I've seen. Well, there's also a chance that this could be scaremongering, and it could be used to, drive up prices on certain things. As I stated before, they're already starting to affect the markets with this whole thing. That's going to create some equilibrium, which will then reset a lot of the financial things that they haven't had a way out of. So that's why I don't think it matters whether it was HAARP or whether it was natural or anything else. Supermoon. I personally, I'm leaning more towards this supermoon thing, because I know full well the elite have a knowledge of these cyclical events that happen with the moon, with the sun, and everything else, and we know for a fact they exploit them. That's why they keep us in ignorance about them. So, I mean, yes, it's, they could have used HAARP as an inducer or something that could have, possibly made this worse. But all of the earthquakes that we have seen that have the telltale signatures of HAARP have not had tsunamis that follow them. Every time there was, from Chile to Haiti, New Zealand, I mean, you would on and on, you would see these various tsunami warnings come out, because tsunamis, from a scientific standpoint, you can look this up, they say that tsunamis are the norm for earthquakes that happen in the region of islands and things of that nature. You didn't see one during Haiti. You didn't see one in Chile. All the ones that I've seen evidence for being probably HAARP-induced earthquakes have had no tsunamis, again, which is supposed to be the norm, happen. And allegedly the reason that is because the way that they're creating it goes under the ground through the earth penetrating tomography, goes underneath the ground, into the ground, and then causes this separation. So I'm leaning more towards the fact that I think this one was one of those cyclical things they had a knowledge of, but I'm certainly not going to weed out the possibility they could have, using force multiplication technology, which we know they love to do, enhanced this, made it worse, made it a more of a catastrophic event than it probably would have been. So my whole thing on the whole, the people stocking up on the thyroid stuff. I mean, that, you should, to me, you should always have some of that stuff around. I was kicking myself, and that's kind of why I went ahead and got some. Even before this broke out, I had to, I saw some cheap, so I decided to get some, because I thought it was one of the things, oh, you know what, I meant to buy some of that before and didn't. Because, I mean, at this stage in the game, we should all have that kind of stuff around. I mean, believe me, I'm going to say this to you. This is the honest to God truth. I didn't come this far to die like a chump. Okay. I didn't come this far to go out like a punk. I want to live. and I'm in this because I want to live. But I'm also not going to give up my life, and I'm also not going to hunker down in a fucking bunker with a bunch of guns and shit myself out of fear or anything else. Not in a dog's age, because, well, for the fact of the matter is they want us panicked because then we're not rational. You know, they get us operating on only our emotional basis, and then we just fly off the handle, and it's just fight or flight, and it's a big mess, and, you know, we can't think straight because we're not thinking rationally, we're thinking out of our emotions. That's exactly what they want. Yeah, I mean, New Madrid is heating up. In fact, there was a report that came out Friday. Let's see if I can find this here. A new report released today in the Kremlin prepared for Prime Minister Putin by the Institute of Physics of the Earth in Moscow is warning that the Americas are in danger of suffering a megaquake of catastrophic proportions during the next 14 days, with specific emphasis being placed on the United States, Mexico, Central America, and South American West Coast regions, along with the New Madrid fault zone region. So I was saying May. I guess they're pushing it up. Yeah, it may happen in the next 14 days. My goodness. Well, there's no question there is going to be something happening around the New Madrid fault line at some point. It's just, I mean, it's pretty much set in stone now. I mean, we've got national level exercises 2011 coming up in May, drilling on that exact scenario. But again, I'm not going to get up here and tell you that you run around and shit yourself with fear, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that hunker down in the bunker and get the iodine pills and we're all going to die or anything else. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to be prepared. I'm not going to tell you if you have an opportunity to go down to your local CVS or something and go ask the pharmacist if you can get a box of these things for fun, because a box of 2 of them is enough for tons and tons of people. They go a long way. You don't need to take one every day either. If you have the opportunity to do that, then, and you feel that, hey, what the hey, better be safe than sorry, then do it. If you don't, then don't do it. But I can't get up here with good conscience and tell you that you shouldn't at least give a little bit of preparation sometimes of this stuff, some thought. And that thought about it, or that preparation about it, doesn't mean you have to allow yourself to be fear-mongered or to be scared or anything else. I'm not scared about any of this stuff, but I'm certainly not going to be a pussy and just, I'm not scared. Oh no, I'm so not scared. I'm just not going to be prepared for it. Fuck it. I mean, that's dumb, right? We didn't come this way to have that attitude, did we? I mean, my God. So, I'm just not going to get up here and rant and rave and yell on. Yeah, I mean, what's the first? What is the first article linked to? If you go to Drudge Report right now about the possibility of this radiation hitting us, where does that article come from? You got to guess, anybody? PrisonPlanet.com. Now, there's something odd about that, because number one, I'm just saying, look at this from an outsider standpoint. Here's the thing. I have seen over the past 24 hours several very mainstream sources discussing the possibility of this radiation reaching the United States. AP, Reuters, ABC News, whatever have you, lots of different mainstream sources. Alex Jones' Prison Planet website is not the only website that is talking about this possibility of the radiation reaching the United States by any stretch of the imagination. And Drudge Report is supposed to be a mainstream news website. Okay, why is it that the first and the big major only web page article you see about this on the Drudge Report is from PrisonPlanet.com? Did you ever stop to think? And I know the easy answer to that is going to be, well, it's because Jonesy is a shill and he's in with the Shillingtons like Drudge and blah, blah, blah. He's there to fearmonger. Well, yeah. Okay. Can't argue with that. That's easy on the surface. Have you ever thought about, just hear me out, as a possibility, that the reason that's there is so that we get that exact type of reaction, so that the first thing we see when we go to Drudge Report is we see the Alex Jones article, we go, oh, well, or somebody out there, that's familiar with Alex Jones and this Charlie Sheen thing that's happening, that's been going on, and they go there and they see the first article they see on the possibility of radiation comes from Alex Jones, they're going to go, oh, well, you know, that's Alex Jones. He's crazy like Sheen is. So, you know, if he's saying radiation is going to reach the United States, well, you know it's bullshit. You saw the stuff he's been in with attached with Sheen over the past couple of weeks. You see how that's happened? Are you even thinking about that? Because I sure as fuck am. But yet, all I've seen on message boards and in my chat room even is people saying, "Oh, Alex Jones is fear mongering the radiation thing." Well, that may very well be true, but have you ever thought about maybe there's a reason why? These guys love to do this kind of shit, y'all. They love to do it. They love to take one methodology and one way of doing things and flipping it around. So now, instead of fear-mongering us about something that is never going to happen, now they're using the Jonesy mouthpiece to put something out there so people think it's bullshit, since he's just been related, to all the Sheen activity going on. And then they go, well, yeah, well, that's Alex Jones putting that out, so I'm not going to be worried about it. I'm just saying, we shouldn't really just automatically say that's bullshit because it's coming from Alex Jones. It very well could be that they're allowing him to put this out there, or they're wanting him to put this out there so people do think it's bullshit, aren't prepared, and then more people die. I've been seeing this brewing for 2 years now, since he fearmongered the swine flu thing, and I'm seeing this happen where we could be in a situation eventually that we need to be prepared for, but because Alex Jones has cried wolf so many times, and he's the one that they're putting out there as the only person talking about it, when that's not even true. There's plenty of other articles out there that Drudge Report could have linked to about this radiation reaching the United States. Why did they pick Alex Jones, prisonplanet.com, as the one article to put that most people are going to go see? So that people, when they see it associated with Jones, automatically associate with bullshit and Jones being on The View and Charlie Sheen and blah, blah, blah. And they are less likely to prepare themselves because it's associated with that clown. That's what they want to do. So again, make your own decisions. Do what you want. I'm not going to tell you to be prepared for this or not be prepared for it. But I think you should have the same standpoint and I do on it, which is, haven't you come too far in your life? Haven't you come too far on your journey and your path in this world to just give up or not be prepared or just be apathetic and just say, well, fuck it, it's probably bullshit because Jonesy's talking about it. Well, that may be very well true. But in this situation, I would say we don't have enough information either way, and I would rather be prepared than not be prepared. Needed it better to need it and not have it than to have it and not need it. Just don't come over to my house if the fucking radiation falls out thinking I got a bunch of fucking pills for you, because I don't. Only the bitches that are riding on the ark with me back to Sirius B get my sodium iodate. Yep, get in line, girls. Line up. All right, which one of you going back on the Starship with me? All right, here you go. Get sodium iodate for you. All right. All right. No, I'm kidding. My cat's actually first in line. I'm actually in negotiations with my cat to make sure I get some right now. He's actually already got dibs on for his kitty brigade or pussy brigade, whatever it is. I don't know. My cat really runs everything. He's really the mastermind behind everything that I do. Stands behind me with a little whip. Make that film. Make that film. It's ridiculous. Anyway, like I said, I think that the most important thing here is that we have a massive event that's happening that's going to be used to benefit the furthering of the agenda. We have a lot of dead folks here, and, we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of unanswered questions. So we all need to be staying alert right now, staying on top of this stuff, and, make sure we're thinking rationally in case we have to make decisions that are based on protecting ourselves and our family. I mean, we're in that time now, folks. I hate to have to break this to you, but you and me and all the rest of us are going to be having to make a lot more of these decisions, more and more. I fear over the next coming months. 2011 is, I knew it was going to be interesting, but I didn't think it was going to be this interesting. And I have a feeling we ain't seen shit yet for this year or next year. I just think we all need to be aware that, it's not playtime anymore. over the past few years, there's been a lot of fear mongering that has led up to nothing. I think that right now we're not getting enough information that these people have on, effects of solar radiation, effects of the supermoon, effects of all these things that they've had knowledge about for thousands of years. And like everything, the restriction of this knowledge is what continues to enable them to enslave us. Japanese Prime Minister Naoto Kan is appealing to the Japanese to unite overcoming what he says is the nation's worst crisis since World War II. And they've just had all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to... isn't this convenient for them, though? Toyota says it's to halt all production in Japan until March 16th. Oh, isn't that great? Toyota's been so much in the news with all the lawsuits and everything else. This is a boon for them, isn't it? Yeah. All the evidence wash away. Yeah. Yeah. So then all the New World Order cronies who helped tank Toyota and helped do all this, stuff with all this recalls where, money was more important than the quality of the product they put out. Well, this is probably going to give them an opportunity to not ever have to go to court with any of this stuff, which I'm sure, again, is another coincidence. Massive earthquake that struck northeast Japan on Friday has shortened the length of the Earth's day by a fraction. Well, they said the one in the Indonesian tsunami did the same thing. They said Katrina did the same thing. They said that the Haiti earthquake did the same thing. They said that they've repeated this over and over again over the past few years. Every time there's been a massive thing going on, I'm wondering, my goodness, they're shortening the lengths of our days. No, is this intentional? Are they trying to speed up time? Is this even by a fraction? That's very strange. But I know for the last 7 or 8 massive events that have happened, there has been exactly these type of things described where the Earth is, sped up and we're losing time. It's very odd. Anyway, I wanted to get through these earthquake-related articles tonight before we take a break, and then we will get into some other news tonight. Then we're going to read from William Bramley's Godspeed, and we'll also love to hear from you, globalrealityshow@gmail.com tonight, like an email and a comment or a question or anything else. I've been seeing this push towards nuclear disarmament and moving away from nuclear energy as a whole. I think this event is probably going to go a long way towards that, and the reason they're wanting to push towards the anti-nuclear agenda so that they can bring about the age of space-based weapons. And since the United States of America controls the majority of the space-based weapons and the technology, it is in the best benefit for the leaders alive right now to call for worldwide nuclear disarmament, which I believe that they are now going to start to do. And then in the future, anybody who's seen messing with, nuclear energy or anything else will be seen as a threat, where a decision can be made by the global governing force to have that threat wiped out by their space-based weapons that they control. And this is why the United States has spent more on space-based weapons in fiscal year 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011 than they ever have in their whole history. They've been planning this. This is how they're going to assume total control. Not with the threat of nuclear annihilation as it has been for the last 60 years, but now with this looming space-based weapons overhead. Oh, well, you're fine as long as you do what the global governing body was, but if you try to get off the plantation and start your own little country, well, we're going to ensure you don't do that with our space-based weapons. We can knock out anything you got with the force of an atomic bomb with no nuclear fallout. Most American states are not prepared to cope with major nuclear radiation events. In a published study, this is from the AFP. Again, I don't understand why they didn't link to this article on Drudge Report instead of, this Alex Jones fear-mongering thing about the radiation. Like, again, this is AFP. There's tons of other ones they could have linked to. I just can't think of any other reason they would link to his article than for people to see it and have their reaction. Oh, Alex Jones. He's that guy that's been in the news with all the Charlie Sheen stuff. Anything that guy says is probably full of shit. And then people don't get, the pills or whatever, and they get radiation and they die. Well, it's going to be something if that happens. I'll tell you what, I hope it doesn't. Most American states are not prepared to cope with the major nuclear radiation events that a study published Monday that happened to coincide with a feared nuclear disaster in quake hit Japan. The survey of state health departments was conducted in 2010 and found that almost half of the 38 states that took part had no plan for protecting public health in the event of a radiation emergency. And these things are, these tablets are nothing, or they were nothing. Now they're going to be, I got two big boxes of them for $10. Those two big boxes I got for $10 will probably be worth $200 when they get here. It's crazy. Most states had completed little to no planning for public health surveillance to assess potential human impacts of radiation events. At the Study in Disaster Medicine and Public Health Preparedness, a journal of the American Medical Association said, few states said they had the resources to test the public for radiation exposure. So they don't have the ability to check and see if people have this anyway. Well, that's convenient for the elite, isn't it? The results of this assessment indicate that in many measures of public health capacity and capability, the nation remains poorly prepared to respond adequately to a major radiation emergency incident. To nearly half of the responding states not giving a response plan, a large portion of the U.S. population is at increased risk should a radiological event occur within the United States borders. So right there's proof that we're not prepared. And yet, let me find the article here General Electric designed reactors in Fukushima have 23 sisters in the U.S. So these were designed by General Electric, GE, big military industrial complex weapon maker they are. And we have 23 of them in the United States, and most people didn't even know what sodium iodide was until today. The General Electric designed nuclear reactors involved in the Japanese emergency are very similar to 23 reactors in use in the United States, according to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission records. The NRC database of nuclear power plants shows that 23 of the 104 nuclear power plants in the U.S. are GE boiling water reactors with GE's Mark I systems for containing radioactivity. The same containment system used by the reactors in the trouble of the Fukushima Daiichi plant. The U.S. reactors are in Alabama, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. In addition, the 12 reactors in the U.S. have the later Mark II or Mark III containment system from GE. These 12 are in Illinois, Louisiana, Mississippi, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Washington State. So it's, that alone to me is very interesting, because again, whether or not you want to be concerned, or whether or not this radiation from Japan is going to reach the United States or not, and whether you can say, oh, I'm not going to believe it because Alex Jones said it, it's probably fear mongering, and again, you may be right. I'm not going to say that's wrong. But I would say, regardless of that, with that knowledge, there's that many of those in the United States. I mean, I think we're all fucking stupid for not knowing that and being prepared for this already. But maybe some good can come out of this. Maybe now this will bring about a knowledge for this, the sodium iodide existing. Maybe people now will be prepared for this kind of thing happening. Maybe this is good. Why do I have to see the bad in this? I'm as upset as anybody else that many people died. But I mean, I think there is some good that could come out of this. Maybe this will get the United States, get some of us to wake up and realize that if we just spend $5 here or $10 there at the local CVS and make little preparation things. Nobody's asking you to go down to the bunker. I'm not going to do some shit like that, but my goodness. If we're just going to, roll over and allow these people to just, kill us with their technology without preparing ourselves, and we shouldn't even be concerned with this stuff right now. You know what I mean? Oh, it's just crazy. Let me make sure I don't have any more of these stories I need to cover here on this tonight. Oh, just like I predicted, just like I talked about earlier. U.S. lawmakers urge go slow on nuclear energy. Yeah, the unfolding nuclear disaster in Japan and reactors damaged by a massive earthquake and tsunami has led some lawmakers to call for putting the brakes on U.S. nuclear development. There you go. That's what they want. This is a perfect thing for them to happen. If this radiation gets out, and it does spread to the United States where it ends up killing a lot more people, you could have a global movement for the call of nuclear disarmament and the end to nuclear power almost immediately. Boy, this is getting exciting to watch play out, because it's just, oh man, I mean, you can almost see this stuff just playing out as if it's a script. You really can. They don't say there's a fourth nuclear reactor now on fire. Fire's breaking out in the fourth nuclear reactor in Japan. Whew. Man, oh man. Unbelievable. We'll continue to monitor this situation, let you know what's important and what isn't. I'll tell you that for sure. But we've got a lot more news for you tonight. We've got some other news not relating to this that we're going to get into as well. I think we've got some emails I need to get to. Love to have more emails from you. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. We're going to take a break, come back, and we're going to continue on the show. Going to be reading from William Bramley's Gods of Eden again for you here tonight as well. So, all right, back here with you on the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us. And we're going to be getting into some more news here for you tonight on the broadcast. Late night Moonbat show here. Glad you're staying up late with us and being here. As we continue to try and discern and dissect and get into all of the issues that pertain to what we see happening in the world, and really, just at least give us some semblance of being able to pick apart this stuff and what's happening with it. And we need all the voices we can get and all the opinions we can get, so that we can all hopefully come to some conclusions on decisions that we may need to make on ways to combat this. And not through violence or guns or weapons, but by building our communities and building communities out of people that are good at certain things. And that's certainly what we try to do here, what we do with our work. And, it's good to see people trying to do that as well. I'm glad there are more people now attempting to do that. It's awesome. Anyway, we're going to be back back into the news here in just a bit. Please support our work, folks, if you can. Go to www.theglobalreality.com. And on the right-hand side of the page over there, you have the chip and banner. That's for the bills for the month. Got to pay the stream bill this week. And then you also have the donate button there. That's all at the bottom for one-time donations. Those are for larger donations. PayPal allows you to donate up to, I don't know, 9,000 or something like that is the max. But I don't think we'll ever have anything that ridiculous. But I'm just like to let people know. You can use the donate button there for larger donations to help us grow and buy more equipment, and for the music and the films and the radio network and everything else. We also have a monthly recurring subscription there where you can select an amount, and it comes out every month out of your bank account automatically. And then you don't have to come back every month to make a subscription, and you become a member, and that supports us that way. We don't have commercials. We don't have ads. We don't try to sell you Ted's Jugo deal of the week or, the water filter company of the week or any of that stuff here. It's all based on what our listeners donate to us. And getting closer and closer to having the secret ride out. I'm still not going to put a definite date on when it's going to be out. It's basically when it's done, I'm going to go, hey, all right, it's done. Who's in the chat room? Who wants to have a private screening right now and watch this fucking movie? That's what I did last time. So that's what I'll do again. So just whoever's one day here, probably in about, 3-4 weeks, sometime in the next 30 days for sure, you're probably going to hear me get up here and say on a show, hey, be hanging around the chat room at the end of the show, because I'm going to drop you a link and we're going to watch the Secret Ride Volume 2. You're going to be able to get a pre-screening of it. And yeah, I'm going to try. If the stars line up, I'm going to try to have a rent a theater and have a screening and all that stuff, and have some bands play. I'm going to try to do that, because that'll be great. We actually played a party up in Denton Saturday. It was an after party for the North by 35, which is basically like Denton, Texas's version of South by Southwest, and we played an after party. We didn't get into the conference, so we got invited to play this party afterwards, and it was fucking awesome. I got to say, it's probably one of the best shows we've ever had, and we played just fucking great and sounded awesome, and response was just epic by the by the people there. It was insane, the response that we got and reaction to the music. It kind of felt like we were actually finally, after being a band for a year, got to play in the in front of an audience that is going to be receptive to our type of music. I mean, I think that's been our biggest problem so far, is we just haven't been finding the right audiences, So hopefully we'll get a chance to do that again. But no, I don't sell the. Yeah, look, folks, Ted's got a deal for you today. It's only 100, 300, 400, 500% over spot, folks. It's good stuff. I just had Ted ship an enchilada crate full of this stuff over to my house right now. I'll be buried in the backyard as soon as I get home. My wife's gonna fucking kill me. Every day I come home with another satchel full of gold. But I know my country's going to hell, and I can't help it. I know we're understanding my country. Oh, man, bite from Ted. But nonetheless, yeah, so yeah, you'll get a, most likely what will end up happening is I'll just say, hey, all right, it's done. And then shortly after that, I'm sure people start getting their DVD. I really want to do this one on, release this film on Blu-ray as well. I'm thinking about doing that. All I really have to do is, I just I have to get the money to buy the discs and all that stuff. But that's not, it's only like, I think it's like $500 or something like the same price as what I've normally got with regular. So I may do a limited release on that as well. We'll just have to see what happens. Cause it'd be cool to have one out in that format, maybe try to reach some more people. I want to reach maximum people with this film. I don't want this just to be some other little YouTube film that, 50,000 people in 2 years watch. I really want this to be, super duper nova. And I think with your help and people promoting it, I think it will be. I think the content is there. I'm just trying to, squeeze all the magic I can out of limited equipment to do it. And I think that the results I'm getting and have gotten so far, I think are going to be, every time you make a film, it gets better and better. Every time I've made a film, they get better and better. Secret Right was a leap above the other films I'd made, even though it wasn't, a Lucas production by any step of the imagination. But anyway, so there you go. Please support our work if you can, folks. We need all the help we can get all the time. Thanks to everybody who has supported us and donated recently. We love you so much, and we continue because of you. So thanks. Let's get back into the news here tonight. See what else we have. Not a really whole lot, considering everything's revolving around the earthquake thing right now. CERN scientists said Monday that they staged their first speed of light particle collisions of the year at the weekend, resuming their probes into the origins of the cosmos in the center of the Large Hadron. Wow, that's another interesting thing, isn't it? They fired this thing up right when the earthquake happened. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I should probably not even read anything into this at all. It started up well with stable beams. We are even a little ahead of schedule after the winter break, spokesman James Gillis told Reuters. Oliver Buckmuller, a leading physicist on the $10 billion project, said top priority in 2011 and 2012 would be finding evidence of supersymmetry, extra dimensions, dark matter, black hole production, and the elusive Higgs boson. These concepts and ideas are at the new frontiers of science research as it pushes into the realms of what was once science fiction, giving a new impulse to cosmology and theorizing on whether the known universe is alone or one of many. So, yeah, very interesting that we didn't hear anything about it. And I guess I talked about that a while back. I didn't realize there was a winter break for CERN. I had mentioned a while back that I'd noticed that there was months and months and months and months of news articles for CERN, and then it just dropped off and there was nothing, and then there was an increase of it again. I wasn't aware there was a winter break for CERN. Okay. Well, then I stand corrected on that, even though I don't think I was wrong about anything. I was just curious as to why there wasn't any news for months. Now I know. All right. Oh, this is a great one. How long do we know this is coming? Because I saw them doing this to people on probation and stuff 13, 14 years ago. So I just knew it was a matter of time before this was going to become standard. The American Beverage Institute claims the Road Safe Act could mandate that all cars have a device that could determine if a driver has been drinking. A device which authors of the bill say doesn't exist today. Yeah, it does exist. Dude, I saw people on probation 13, 14 years ago that had these in their car, and if they blow into them intoxicated, the car will not start. So you can't tell me they don't have this technology. They've had this technology for years. The proposed bill seeks to fund for developing technology that would be unobtrusive to sober drivers. In some California counties, the courts mandate convicted drunk drivers to install an ignition interlock system that requires drivers to blow into the device before starting their cars. Mechanics who work with the Smart Start system say that it's calibrated at 0.03 below the legal alcohol limit because that is the warning level for most drivers. Opponents of the bill say no matter what device is developed, it would mean that you can't have a glass of wine with dinner or a beer at a ball game. And we think that people should be able to do that. Yeah, well, total control, total knowledge. And then what's going to happen? What's going to happen then if, I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know, where does that information go? If it goes into a computer in the car, and it goes into a chip, and you're driving a car that has GPS and a black box and all kinds of other broadcasting technology, that it's going to go right into a file somewhere. Somebody's going to have that information. That's what it's about. Because then even if you get somebody, you know, in a in the driver's seat that can legally blow a way to start the car, shit, that information, you know, is going to go into county and local law enforcement, go into a system. They'll be tracking you all the way home. That's what the whole new system is all about. You know, yeah, how they, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but here where I live, we have I live, you know, not too far from this toll road here, the George Bush Turnpike. Yeah, imagine that, right? The George Bush Turnpike, where last year they did away with all of the, it used to be you go through the toll road, right, on existing roads that your tax dollars and my tax dollars already paid for. But hey, let's not even talk about that, right? Let's not even talk about the fact that Giuliani came and brokered when they built 121 up close by Louisville. Giuliani was here brokering that deal with Centra in Spain. You know, Spain owns all the toll roads around Dallas. It's unbelievable. It literally, and Rudy Giuliani brokered that whole thing. It's insane. Most fucking people that live in this goddamn area, they don't even know that. They have no idea that roads that they bought and paid for with their tax dollars have been sold to Spain. And Rudy Giuliani brokered the whole deal. And it's happening right here in North Texas in our backyard. And most people go around oblivious. They don't know. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. Doesn't affect them. Well, it used to be that when you would go through these things, you would throw, you know, they had the toll booth things. You'd go through and put your change in there. And now they've got it where they completely did away with putting change in there. And so your only option to pay for your toll now is by going through these Raytheon scanners, where immediately upon going through them, they already automatically know where you live, what your address is, and you automatically get a bill in the mail. And see, when you're going through, the thing about it is they're taking away the ability for people who just want to pay with change. Because it used to be that people had the option, and you know, a little bit of change here and there every day to go through the thing is not that big of a deal. But when you add this up, and then you send somebody a bill for 50, 75, 100, 150, 200 bucks at the end of the month, on top of gas being $3.50 a gallon, some people can't pay that. But see, now it's all automatic. It goes into their system, and they come and get your ass, and it affects your driving record if you don't pay this shit. Now, this is bullshit. These roads have already been paid for. So if they can do that, and they can track you and know where you are for you going through their toll road, you're going to sit here and tell me that if they put a breathalyzer device in your car that you blow, it doesn't allow it to start, they're not going to send your information to all the law enforcement between where you're at and where your house is? Give me a fucking break. You'd be a fool to think they're not going to be doing that. But it's all here, and people just love it and say, oh, yes, well, give it to me. As long as, you know, I really don't have a problem. You know, I mean, I don't really care if they put one of them breathalyzers in my car, as long as it keeps me safe from Al-Qaeda and them goddamn sandy Arabs. I don't care. That's all I care about, because in America, we sometimes have to give up our freedoms that our forefathers fought for in order for us to be able to be free from Al-Qaeda. Good Lord, is Satan is upon this radio show tonight. Yes, it's Pastor Hagee. As usual, I've been monitoring the broadcast of Josh Reeves because Josh Reeves has not said one thing tonight about whether or not this radiation is going to affect the Jews in Israel. Wait. Let me break in here just a second. Pastor Hagee always does this. He likes to break in. What is the deal? I mean, I don't see how I should be concerned about whether or not radioactive fallout's going to hit Israel. I mean, they've already been shelling the entire Middle East with DU and everything else for years. I mean, shouldn't we be concerned about what's going to happen in America? And besides that, aren't there probably Jews in America that would probably be affected by this radiation, you know, if this was to happen? Let's not mince words here, Mr. Reeves. The real question of whether or not you are going to address the importance of this happening with the Jews. Yeah, I get the point. This is ridiculous. Anyway, Pastor Hagee, you need to go ahead and fuck off and take Satan with you. Thanks. Appreciate you. Hey, he likes to come in every now and again. Let's see what else. NASA's Fireball network to scour the sky for meteors. This is interesting. I don't know if you guys have noticed the chemtrail activity over the past several weeks has been out of this world. In fact, today, me and a friend of mine saw, well, we'd already seen some streaks over where there have been obvious chemtrails, but we saw this. I mean, it was you could tell it was in the troposphere. It was a huge plane, but the altitude it was flying at, I mean, it was way up there. But I mean, it was hauling butt, and you could see it spraying aerosol, and right directly in front of the plane. I've only seen this. Well, I've seen it a couple of times. But I've also seen it in pictures and videos online on YouTube and stuff. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this. If any of you have ever seen one of these chemtrail planes coming over, and where it has like this little, what can only be described as like an orb of light right at the nose of the plane, at the front of the plane, like immediately preceding it. And I've seen people talk about that, and I've seen stuff online where people have said that that's some sort of alien technology where they're, you know, making it's a hologram where it makes it look like it's a plane to disguise it from something else that it is. And some people say that was used on 9/11. You know, I don't know. But honest to God, today, me and a friend of mine both, and I've got a witness to attest to this, we both saw this plane come over, and you could see a big ball. It was like a big ball of light, like an orb. And you could see it spinning around the front nose of this plane. It was bizarre, man. I didn't have time to run in and grab my camera. It was already gone. But I've noticed that every time there's a heavy chemtrail day, if you go out at night, you're driving around at night, you'll see these big fireballs coming out of the sky, these big green fireballs. And people just immediately call them meteors or asteroids or meteorites or space junk or anything else. But I think there's more to the story here. I don't know exactly what, but I can tell you over the past 4 years, I personally have witnessed at least 10 or 20 of these big green fireballs. Sometimes they do strange things, make big maneuvers, and they seem to be on days when there's heavy chemtrails. I don't know if anybody else out there has seen this besides me. NASA is installing a network of surveillance cameras to track meteorites as they enter the Earth's atmosphere. Each of the cameras in the all-sky fireball network has a special lens that can view the entire sky above it and a black and white video recorder that documents any meteors that are brighter than Venus. Every night, the cameras have overlapping fields of view to ensure that the same meteorite can be detected by more than one camera. Through triangulation, NASA can assess where the meteorites come from and where they will land. There are currently over 3 cameras, one in North Alabama, one in Northwest Georgia, and one in Southern Tennessee. But the aim is to install a total of 15 cameras in schools, science centers, and planetaria. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I think there's a very, very strong importance to want to track whatever these things are that are coming out of the sky, because I don't think they're all meteorites. And I think they want to know where some of these things are going so they can confiscate them before regular people get their hands on them. A lot of people believe that there's already a massive space war going on up there, and that these things are that are coming down that we're seeing are actually pieces of spacecraft or whatever have you being blown out of the sky up there. I don't know. I really don't know. Continuing on here. I had to get a drink. Oh, this is interesting. Mayan crystal skull believed to have been owned by SS Chief Heinrich Himmler, discovered in Germany. The artifact found resting on a beam beneath the roof of a house in a Bavarian village has excited treasure hunters. They believe it may be part of a larger trove of bounty once owned by the most sinister man in Nazi Germany. Indications are that it was part of a series worshipped by ancient Mayan cultures in what is now Mexico, where legend has it the skulls are vital to stop the world ending next year. It's interesting that this article comes out today, because I had, a couple times I saw this once, I guess back in New Year's, I guess was the last time I was in a liquor store, was before the other night, was New Year's, and I'd seen this, they had this vodka for sale called Crystal Skull Vodka, and just coincidentally enough, when we were going to our show the other night, me and Delphi had stopped in this liquor store to get some what I call drumming lubricant for myself for the show. That'd be Jägermeister. And we're sitting there checking out, and I see this Crystal Skull Vodka there, and I was showing it to Delphi. I was like, hey, look, there's that Crystal Skull Vodka, because it comes in a crystal skull, you know? I'm like, that's cool in of itself. And the guy starts telling me, yeah, that's Dan Aykroyd's thing. He's like, apparently Dan Aykroyd is like taking the sales from this vodka and using it to fund expeditions and archaeological digs for crystal skulls. And I started talking to the guy. I was like, wow, yeah, you know, I know he's into UFOs and all kinds of other stuff. Well, come to find out, this guy at the liquor store had been had a group in Dallas years ago that were into, you know, I guess this type of stuff. And they had, you know, brought people like Richard Hoaxland and other people like that to Dallas. And I just started telling him about the show and stuff, about what I talked about. And this guy was freaking the hell out, man. I mean, he was flipping out. He was just, he was blown away. He couldn't believe somebody walked in his store that knew it. You know, we gave him a sticker and stuff. It was great, man. We were just so flabbergasted and amazed to, you know, run into this random guy that knew all this stuff, and he was talking about it. He was really cool. And it was just, we were like, wow, that was some amazing synchronicity. And then I was sitting kind of thinking in my head, yeah, I'd really like to hear Synchronicity 2 by the Police right now. And like, we're like pulling on the freaking highway, and I'd be damned if it doesn't come on the radio. Me and Delphi were just like, oh my goodness, got to get interesting. But the skull, which weighs nearly 20 pounds, is the same design as the death's head on the uniform of Himmler's henchmen. It was found in the home of an old lady once married to a high-ranking SS officer, and is now in the hands of a Swiss journalist, Luc Bergen, who said that I am 99% sure that this is one of the skulls of the Mayans, but we need clarity, and all available tests will be carried out to ascertain authenticity. It is believed a list of 35 other missing Nazi treasures was found with it. The Mayans, well, I wouldn't say the Mayans did it. Whoever the Mayans considered their gods, let's just say that. Because, well, for instance, the Mitchell Hedges skull, I mean, you know, the world's foremost crystal experts, Hewlett-Packard, did analysis on that thing back in the 70s and determined it wasn't created in Earth gravity. I mean, that's fact, scientific fact. The Mitchell Hedges was not created in Earth's gravity. And there are a lot of, you know, imposters and the ones that people are saying are crystal skulls out there, but that aren't. But I have to say, this one here that they say Himmler had, I'm noticing it looks like it has a hinged jaw, which only up until this point, I think only the Mitchell Hedges had. So I got to say that this one in the picture looks awfully legit to me. I haven't seen another one that looks like that. It's pretty crazy. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Oh, did you guys hear about this? I'm not buying this for a second. They've debunked this. a million times. Why are they? Let me ask you this: why are they trying to roll out this old tired ass story of lost city of Atlantis swamped by tsunami may be found? It's off the coast of Cadiz, Spain. Haven't they? Isn't that the site they've debunked 100,000 ways to Sunday a million times? I don't know, man. It's probably another lost city. There's probably other civilizations, but it just doesn't fit the bill for where Atlantis is supposed to be, and I'm not buying it. You get me? I'd sooner believe Atlantis was underneath Rockwall, Texas, or at least Aslan. Hell, maybe that is. I mean, that's what Atlantis is. Atlantis, Aslan. Aslan means Atlantis. It's the same thing. And of course, Ashiana Dean, the famous channeler, in a channeling session, was asked about the rock wall, and she said that it was an ancient storehouse for ancient technology, alien technology, after the fall of Atlantis. Kind of interesting that a channeler would pull that out, and that was one of the first things I thought when I first heard about it, because, well, there were descriptions in the Rockwall newspaper about, these black pillars that shone like something out of the Orient, two big black marble pillars, and there's a story of a gentleman in Manly P. Hall's book, The Secret Destiny of America, where he talks about being taken under this cavern in Egypt and shown these two black pillars that related to the Atlanteans, that talked about, creating a brotherhood of man and all this stuff. It's unbelievable that those, there would be that connection with the rock wall thing. I think there's a lot of evidence that points in the direction of that. Let me see if we have any other stories here tonight, and then I think it's about all the news I have. Yeah, let's see what kind of emails that we've gotten in. Let me see if there's some things here that I haven't covered. Oh, I want to mention this. Thursday night when we did the show was the 10th going into the 11th. That was when the earthquake first happened. And I was talking about in the chat room with some folks after the show that night about, how that was that was 3/11/11. That was the kickoff. And that earthquake had happened. And I pointed out that back in 2001, exactly 10 years ago, the rock band 311 released an album entitled From Chaos. And on the front of that album, it looks like they're zoomed into what, from one perspective, could look like, a protozoa or some sort of, microbe or something, but also looks oddly like a sun with huge solar flares coming off of it. But anyway, I wanted to point that out, that I thought, wow, well, here's this tsunami. We're hearing all this stuff about solar flares and solar activity. Here's this album, 311, from 2001, that has this very interesting depiction on there. I just, I couldn't overlook that. I couldn't, I definitely couldn't overlook that. I've got some email to go to. I just saw somebody in the chat room. Oh yeah, Herbal Mistress. What do you think about the whole Egyptians in the Grand Canyon thing? Just real quick, because I don't really want to go into all that. I've talked about it a bunch of times here on the show, but it ties into the whole idea. It's not just my idea, and a lot of other scientific ideas, that what we consider to be Pangea, or all of the world's land masses being interlocked together, existed not, in ancient times or hundreds of thousands of years ago, but not so far, maybe even only a few hundred years, or maybe only a few thousand years. I don't know. But definitely not as far back into our history as we have been told. We had a massive interlocking landmass with multiple, because this has been found all over. You had Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon. You've had, this pre-Semitic writing that was found in Yemen, the Palace of Shiva being found in Chaco Canyon and being found in Seco Canyon, Utah. So same thing. A lot of African type stuff has been found in South America. If you look at how the continents were interlocked and put together, you would see how it would be possible for these different cultures to travel over this. So for some reason, I believe that they have for the longest time have lied to us about how long ago, or not too long ago in our distant past, all this was locked together because, again, it challenges scientific theory and their belief system. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, they found they also found a watch, a Swiss-made watch, 40 feet under the ground in a sealed chamber. Did you hear about that? It was a couple of years ago. How do you explain that? So I definitely put it into that. Let me go back to the email here and see what else I have. One person says, great shows as of late. I have not listened in a while. I will be picking up the six stringer a lot more after the comments you made last week regarding music as an outlet. Well, I salute you then, my friend. That's awesome. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear people are getting inspired and wanting to, find ways to use their creativity to get the word out about this stuff. Let's fucking do it. Let's not talk about it. Let's do it. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And, when you see our band play, you could definitely tell that's what we're doing. No question. Another one says, hi, Josh. I already posted this in the chat room, but thought that this might be quite interesting to bring up on your next show in regards to what's going on in the world right now. Especially the second part are the killings in Israel. The first part is more of a spiritual and energetic ET topic. But the second part is very down to earth, in my opinion. March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. This phrase has its origins with the constellations Leo, the lion, and Aries, the ram or lamb. It has to do with the relative positions of these constellations in the sky at the beginning of the end of the month. It is really about the cat or lion people, in my opinion. Most of them are not necessarily nice. Lion-human hybrid statue found in Germany, 30,000 years old. Also check out Michael Sargent's work on Leo lion symbology. I'm familiar with all that. It's also in the coat of arms, and you always see with the lions with the reptilians, with the reptilian type of iconography used by the bloodlines. That's one of the big symbols of the bloodline. So to see that around this time of year, it's very, like I talked about last week, marching off to war in March. Yeah, it's the same thing. How important it is for the elite and the tribes of Israel, the angel of death, as Rael or Rael, also meaning royal in Spanish. Right. All that stuff ties in with the bloodlines, and it's very clear indicators that people that are in these bloodlines, as we already know, are the ones that are shifting world activity. I think VK there, I think you've pretty much, that what you just pointed out there, I think seals the deal on that, wouldn't you say? I would. The angel of death, Israel energy is getting activated. It's probably a ritual killing, and they're blaming it on the Palestinians to cause more tension in the Middle East. Yeah. Again, I can't argue with that. Great points. I really don't have anything to add to it, other than, again, same thing. I love that. I mean, that's really cool. I like when I get sent stuff like that, where this person's laying out this information and then I read out and I go, it is cool if I have something to add, but I really like it when somebody sends me something and I read it and I go, I don't have anything to add to that. You're right on. I can't, I can't say you're wrong about, thinking the way that you think about that. So thanks a lot for that email. I appreciate that. Here's another one. It says, Josh, first and foremost, I would like to mention I'm a new listener of your radio show. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. After listening to Thursday's show, I was looking into human genetic manipulation and found this gem. Nice link there. You may have already known about this, but I thought I would pass on the info. Thanks for providing a forum where like-minded people can communicate and share ideas. I hope all is well. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. This is pertaining to the Star Child skull, and this is something that a gentleman by the name of Lloyd Pye, I believe is his name, has done quite a bit of research on. It's a very interesting phenomenon because a lot of these DNA analysis that they've done on this thing come back inconclusive for human or anything that we know about on this planet. Star Child Project, I think, is the website or something like that. But I played some of the shows by Lloyd Pye from Red Ice. In fact, I can play them again here on the radio network. Maybe I'll roll those tonight after the show's over here. It's interesting information. I can't say I 100% believe it or anything else, but I just think you're an idiot at this point if you think that extraterrestrials weren't here in the past and have played a role in the evolution of mankind. I think you're just a damn fool if you don't believe that at this point. I mean, it's pretty much a given. Let's see what else we have here. Trying to see if I had another email. Oh, here we go. Just a few random questions and thoughts. What do you know about hydrogen peroxide used as a cure-all in cancer treatment? I really don't know. I will say this: hydrogen peroxide is one of the best things you can use for, like, you have teeth problems and stuff like that. Just don't swallow it, but I mean, you can use it on. It's really good on, if you have problems with teeth or trying to get something cleaned out. As far as I've heard a little bit about that, but I really don't know. As far as I know, I don't think you're supposed to ingest that stuff. So being a cancer treatment, I don't know. I really don't know much about it, but I'll do my best to research it. And when I research it, I'll talk about it on the show for you. I just stumbled upon this topic and I'm looking into it further. I'm trying to find alternatives to pharma like apple cider vinegar and the like. Peroxide is very inexpensive and worth stocking up on. I agree with that. Next, when our economy does collapse, I am curious as to how long a period of chaos would likely last before the electronic system is in place. Once in place, do they pick up where they left off? I mean, are they really going to say, okay, you can start paying your college loans again? Well, that's kind of a big question there. I'm not really one of those people that believes, and this is not fear mongering. This is not, oh, shit yourself and be scared or, any of that stuff. This is just my honest standpoint on this. And one of the reasons why I don't have a bug out bunker or, any of that stuff. Look, this hasn't changed, and most of the things that I believe have changed in the 4 years I've been doing radio, but this is one of the few things that hasn't. I do not personally believe that there is going to be a period of, the economy collapses or this, that, and the other, and then, martial law and shit goes to tits and fucking, whatever else happens, and then there's a period, and then it lasts for however long. The question is, how long do I think that's going to last? And then, a new system comes in place, and then, everything just picks up where they left off. I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't believe that's going to. I believe once they finally tank this thing, that's going to be it. I mean, the way of thinking that they have programmed. This is how sick it is, folks. It makes me want to puke to even have to say what I'm about to say to you. Because this is one of those things, sometimes when I come across things, and sometimes in the research and sometimes in the analysis of this, I come to conclusions about things that sometimes I don't want to come up here and talk about. Or I don't come up here and talk about. Because I am afraid sometimes that if I do, I will be called a fearmonger or something else. So I oftentimes reserve these kinds of things. But I'll shoot it to you straight if that's what you want. I've been reluctant to say this on the show for a long time. It's kind of tough. Americans, as we stand right now as a people, and the way that we've been programmed, propagandized, lied to, sold to, manipulated, and led to believe in phony paradigms and phony worldviews and phony models of society and phony models of who we think we are and what we're told we should be by Madison Avenue and the Edward Bernays School of Programming you to feel that you have to have products to be a whole person. I think that we are such damaged goods at this point, and I believe this to be an absolute fact, and I believe this to be the way the elites see this, that the people of the United States of America at this point are a complete, as a whole, a complete and utter liability to the new world power structure. I believe that it is too dangerous for their great work and their great plan to allow a whole bunch of us, or 50 million of us, or 300 million of us, or whatever it is, to go into the new world they're planning on creating, because we'll just fuck shit up hardcore, because there'll be so many of us wanting things back the old way. Because people are not going to be able to adjust to the new world. I think that I think the future and the power structure and everything holds. I think the future is the bleakest, honestly, folks, for you and I and those of us in the United States of America. I've been reluctant to say that for the longest time. Figured people would take it the wrong way. People probably will. At this point, I got nothing left to lose. I just don't care. I got to say what I feel. My analysis has shown to me that the biggest liability to their plan, the biggest amount of people in the world that are a liability to the great master work, is us. And whether it be oil spills or tsunamis or earthquakes or radioactive stuff going off, or New Madrid earthquakes or false flag terror attacks, the systematic eliminations of large amounts of people in the United States before the equilibrium of the new global order is created, I think, is undeniably on the menu. I Does that mean all hope is lost? No. Does that mean we give up? No. Does that mean we stop doing what we're doing? No. You got to live. You can't stop. You got to fight it. You have to alert more people. Are some of us going to die? Yeah, but not all of us. Is the message, is the ideas, are those things going to die? Not if people don't allow them to. So you see, it doesn't matter how many of us they kill in the physical body, folks. The genie has already been let out of the bottle. There are now more people awake and aware of what is going on the planet and aware of this master plan power structure than there were 5, 10, 150, 100 years ago, folks. More people on the planet are like you and I than there have ever been on this planet ever in the history of the world. That ought to make you proud. That ought to make you proud to be a fucking moonbat, or whatever you want to call yourself. Seriously. There are more of us now on this planet right now than there ever has been. I mean, I think that's why it's so important that shows like mine and others out there, Lee Rogers, others people who, are on the forefront of this, who are trying to combat these other hucksters like Alex Jones and the phony half-truth movement and the rest of this stuff. Because just because the future may not be bright for Americans as a whole doesn't mean that humanity won't continue, and that the ideas of freedom and the ideas of not being controlled by a totalitarian government or state, and people living off the land for themselves together in harmony as a people, can be achieved. That will not die, no matter who or what they kill. Remember, they're not going to kill all of us, because how can you rule if you don't have people to rule over? It's a very important part. That's one of the things you have to understand when you hear these fear mongers say, they want to kill us all. They want to kill us all. They can't kill us all. Can't have a kingdom unless you have people to rule over, and those people know that very much. But we've been set up for this, and we're all guilty of it. We've walked right into their trap, and they have us right where they want us now. At least people in the United States of America. But I'm not yelling red alert yet. Believe me, when I get up here and tell you to get on the fucking plane, get on the boat, whatever you got to do, get the fuck out of the country, do it. But I'm not there yet, so I'll be right behind you. Don't worry. All right, well, we didn't have any more emails tonight, so that means we're going to take a break, come back, and then we will be reading from William Bramley's The Gods of Eden again for you here tonight, continuing our series of reading from that. Love to see you in the chat room tonight. Lots of people in the chat room. globalrealityshow@gmail.com is my email address. TheGlobalReality.com is the web address where this broadcast originates from. We are going to hear some tunes, and then we're going to come back and do some reading here out of The Gods of Eden, so Stay with us. Make sure you get you some coffee, Mountain Dew enema. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. Yeah, we're flapping the Moonbats tonight for sure. Glad you can be with us. Thanks for staying up late with us here tonight. We got more show for you. We got a lot more show for you left. We're going to be doing some reading here tonight from William Bramley's Gods of Eden. So we'll be jumping right back into that. Glad you could stay up late with us. Again, please support our work at the website, theglobalreality.com. The achievement banner is there for the month for the bills. The donate button is there if you want to donate towards us helping us to buy, more better computers and more and better cameras and things of that nature. Any the donations and grants and all that are always welcome. Anytime anything anybody wants to chip in to help us out, we can always use it. And the more that we get, the better we can become, and bigger we can become, the more we can get the message out to more people. And so thank you so much to everybody out there. And I just ask you to please support us. And we're getting so close right now because of the help that we've gotten. And just I continue to work and push to get this done and get it out. So please support and help us out if you can, folks. All I ask. The mystery of this abrupt appearance is deepened by another puzzle. This is where we left off last time here. Page 42 of William Bramley's Gods of Eden. And it was discussing this puzzle and the Sumerians and the Neanderthal. So we'll be getting right back into that right now. Why did the more primitive Neanderthal man vanish at the same time that modern Homo sapiens appeared? Evolution is not that fast. The utter, almost abrupt disappearance of Neanderthal people remains one of the enigmas and critical problems in studies of human evolution. The Encyclopedia Britannica concurs. The factors responsible for the disappearance of the Neanderthal peoples are an important problem to which there is unfortunately still no clear solution. The Sumerian creation stories do offer a clear solution to the riddle, but it is one that many people would have a difficult time accepting. The sudden appearance of Homo sapiens accompanied by the abrupt disappearance of Neanderthal man was caused by intelligent intervention. It might be conjectured that the Neanderthal man was either exterminated or hauled off the earth to make room for the new slave race, and perhaps to prevent breeding between the two subspecies. Whatever the precise truth of this might be, we do know two facts with certainty. Modern anthropology has discovered a sudden replacement of Neanderthal man with modern man, and Mesopotamian records state that intelligent planning by an extraterrestrial race lay somewhere behind that dramatic event. In Chapter 2, we discussed the fact that humans appear to be spiritual beings animating physical bodies. The spirit seems to be the true source of awareness, personality, and intelligence. Without a spiritual entity to animate it, a human body would be a little more than a reactive animal or dead. The people of ancient Mesopotamia thoroughly understood this critical fact when they mentioned a spiritual being in connection with the creation of Homo sapiens. They say that you have slaughtered a god together and his personality, the spiritual being. I have removed your heavy work. I have imposed your toil on man. Yeah, meaning, the gods don't have to do the work for their benefit. Now we've created a slave race for you to do it for you. Custodial rulers knew that they needed to keep spiritual beings permanently attached to human bodies in order to animate those bodies and make them intelligent enough to perform their labors. In the clay of God and man, the physical body of the Homo sapiens shall be found, to a unity brought together so that to the end of days the flesh and soul, which in God have ripened, that soul in a blood kinship be bound. The tablets are silent about which personalities were chosen to animate the new slave bodies. Based upon how things are done in human society, we might guess that the custodial society used criminals, deviants, prisoners of war, detested social and racial groups, nonconformists, and other undesirables to obtain the spiritual beings it needed to animate the new slave race of the earth. Humans were certainly treated like convicts sentenced to hard labor. As beasts of burden, humans were brutally treated by their extraterrestrial masters. The clay tablets tell us of vast and catastrophic cruelty perpetrated by custodians against their human servants. Cold-blooded population control measures were carried out frequently. That sounds no different than today, does it? 1,200 years had not yet passed when the land extended and the peoples multiplied. The land was bellowing like a bull. The god got disturbed with their uproar. In Lil, half-brother and rival of Ea, heard their noise and addressed the great gods. The noise of mankind has become too intense for me. And with their uproar, I am deprived of sleep. Cut off supplies for the peoples. Let there be a scarcity of plant life to satisfy their hunger. Adad, another custodian, should withhold his rain, and below the flood, the regular flooding of the land which made it fertile, should not come up from the abyss. Let the wind blow and parch the ground. These lines suggest that Enlil had lived more than 1,200 years. A similar longevity is attributed to Ea and other custodial rulers. Many people find it difficult to believe that any creature, including an extraterrestrial, could live that long. The surprising longevity attributed to custodial rulers may perhaps be explained by Sumerian spiritual beliefs. The Sumerians believed that a personality, a spiritual being, survives the death of a physical body, and that it is possible to identify the personality after it has abandoned one body and take on a new one. That's exactly how they identify the Buddhas, because they're shown a set of items, and if they show a natural gravitation towards certain things that belong to this other person in another life, that's how they determine that. A personality could therefore hold the same political or social position body after body. That's what the whole bloodline thing is about. They know who these people are from one incarnation to the next. That's one of the biggest secrets of the secret societies, the priest class, and the whole thing, folks. That's why the whole, and I'm thinking about making a film just on the bloodlines alone. I don't know if I'm going to do that as my next film, but I'm definitely, it's in the works. I'll tell you that. And that's the reason right there. That's the key to it all in my mind. That's where all the research has taken me. That's the importance of the bloodlines. That's why these bloodlines go back to these demigods, back to these custodians, as they call them here in Bramley's book. That's the key to the whole thing right there. That's what the secret societies and the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians, when they teach about transcending the death of the physical body, the bloodlines have figured out how to incarnate back into their own bloodlines, so that in many cases they have the same personality and they continue this on and on and on. That's why they have such importance in that. That's why the Mormons, who are an extension of the Levite priesthood, and Mormonism, when it was founded, was just a front to practice Freemasonry in secret, is exactly what it was. I mean, and you had, Brigham Young and Joseph Smith, along with the Watchtower Society guy, Charles Taze Russell, all these guys, all Merovingian bloodlines, all go back to the Davidic tribes, the priestly tribes, and they've been responsible for every world religion. It's all based on that. They know who incarnates, and I believe this is why this is why there's placed so much importance on wanting everybody's DNA, and they're trying to figure out when certain people are going to incarnate so they can wipe them out before they're born. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that's been going on for a very long time. Absolutely. But I think they're trying to use technology to assure that even more and more. When the Sumerians gave custodians an extensive longevity, they were not necessarily suggesting that a single custodial body survived for centuries. In many cases, they appear to have been saying that a custodial personality had held a political position for a very long time, even though it may have been so through a succession of bodies. Well, that makes total sense in the whole thing with Ea, because we already know from other Sumerian records that Ea was the one who started the first ever secret society based on those exact foundations. The explanation of everything, all the questions of mankind that we have, who we are, where we came from, who created us, what our true powers are, what we're capable of, where we're going. And when the elite found out about this, they banished Ea to incarnate again and again in human bodies. And it said with each successive incarnation, he incarnated as Quetzalcoatl in Mexico, and Viracocha, and Onas, and Jesus, and Buddha, and Muhammad, and Krishna, and Vishnu, and all of these various messianic figures that have almost the exact same story, found in places across the globe where we know there were no communication. it really does start to ring true that, you know, this is indeed the case. Yeah, this is these reincarnations, and each time it's him trying to warn us, and then the next thing you know, oh, kill that person. It really is a very interesting thing, and of course I can't deny the fact that the Sumerians had detailed. I mean, it's right there in their artwork. They had detailed maps of our entire solar system with all the planets, including additional planets that we apparently or allegedly don't know anything about. Yeah, right. Depicted there as well, with no telescopes, with no technology to be able to do that. What about the caduceus? You know, the two serpents intertwined around the staff with the wings on it, and that goes back to ancient Sumeria. It's used by the American Medical Association to this day. It's a very powerful symbol and a very telling symbol at that. It's a smoking gun for genetic manipulation coming out of the Sumerian kingdom, folks. That symbol alone existing there is the smoking gun, and if you don't see it as that, you just don't know as much as you think you do. That is a symbol for DNA, divine DNA. It's exactly what that represents, especially with the serpents intertwined around it. That's a logo. That's a calling card. That's somebody with a lot of power leaving something to say, look, if there are ever any doubts or questions as to who did this and what did this and who they were and what they had or anything else, this should explain everything you need to know. If you know anything about symbology, it does. I mean, it's just that is, yeah. It's the double helix. It's the DNA. I mean, it's and not only that, it's representatory. It's done in a divine way where it's, you know, somebody of divine power was engaged in this. The tablets describe ghastly conditions in which flood supplies were cut off, in which diseases were laid upon the people that constricted wombs and prevented childbirth, and in which starvation became so rampant that human beings were forced to resort to cannibalism. Lesser diseases, such as one resembling influenza, were also visited upon Homo sapiens, suggesting that the custodial gods understood and engaged in biological warfare. That's not really a big surprise to me. When this genocide did not produce a sufficient drop in the human population, the custodians resumed it. Eventually, a decision was made to destroy the human race entirely with a great flood. Many archaeologists today believe that there was a cataclysmic flood in the Near East thousands of years ago. One description of the Great Flood is found in the Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh, which predates the Bible. According to the epic, a Babylonian named Upanishim was approached by Prince Ea, who opposed the decision to destroy his creation, Homo sapiens. Ea told him and the other gods, Ea told Upanishim that the other gods planned to cause a deluge to wipe out the human race. Ea, who is described in other writings as a master shipbuilder and sailor, gave him instructions on how to build a boat which could survive the flood. Yeah, a boat, my ass, a fucking UFO, a craft. Just come out and say it, you bastards. We know what it is now. This is not the 1970s anymore. It's not Eric von Daniken. And where do these ancient extraterrestrials come from? I do not know. I am Eric Daniken, and I will pop a blood vessel at any moment. That's what he always looks like. I am about to blow right now. I am Eric von Daniken. Let's talk about ancient aliens. Not a boat, you dolts. A ship, a UFO, a ship. What do you understand that ship means something that flies around? Wake the fuck up. I'm going to hit you upside the head with a fucking Sumerian tablet. Take that, bitch. I'll hit you upside the head with fucking Zawas's ancient antiquities. His personal collection. He doesn't let anybody see. All right, let's continue on here. It says that he followed Ea's instructions and with the help of friends completed the vessel before the flooding began. He then loaded the boat with his gold, family, and livestock along with craftsmen and wild animals and hoisted off to sea. Babylonian and Assyrian tablets relate that just prior to flooding the land, the custodians scorched it with a flame. Well, they talk about that in the Bhagavad Gita as well. these ancient extraterrestrials in the sky wielding nuclear weapons and reducing the Earth to ash and killing all the animals. That's in the Bhagavad Gita. So, subsequently, the people that did the most recent dig on the rock wall back in 1999, the guy John Lindsay, who was head of that dig, he told me when they got down to the shale at the bottom, 50 feet down underground where the wall was, that when you get down that far, no shit, there's a layer of pre-flood ash down at the very when you get way down there to the bedrock. Believe that? And had no idea after he told me that. So I subsequently went and looked it up later. That is something that is supposedly common knowledge. And I was blown away by that. I was like, you're telling me that it's common knowledge? I don't remember learning that in school. Did you guys learn? Did I miss out on that? Was I off smoking pot and banging chicks or something when they were teaching that? It's very possible. I guess I missed the whole segment in high school science class where they talked about there being literally a layer of ash down below the Earth where the Earth was reduced to ash at some point, that's still down there and verifiable. I didn't know that existed. I thought, I was like, my goodness. But then I found out that, yeah, of course, there's, that's a common knowledge. There's pre-flood ash down there. So that's what they're talking about here. And this is in these ancient texts. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. Let me continue on. So they would, the Babylonian and Assyrian tablets relate that just prior to flooding the land, the custodians scorched it with flame. They then flooded the region by causing a long rainstorm and by breaking the intricate system of dams and dikes that had been built in Mesopotamia to control the erratic flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Gilgamesh epic relates that Upanishim and his crew survived that ordeal, and when it was over, they sought out dry land by releasing a series of 3 birds. If a bird did not return to the boat, he would know that he had found dry land nearby on which to alight. Once back on the ground, he was joined by several custodians returning from out of the sky. Instead of destroying the survivors, a degree of leniency prevailed, and the custodians transported the surviving humans to another region to live. The tale of the Upanishim should ring a bell with anyone who is familiar with the biblical story of Noah and the ark. That is because the tale of Noah and many other stories in the Old Testament is taken from older Mesopotamian writings. Biblical authors simply altered names and changed the many gods of the original writings into the one God or Lord of the Hebrew religion. The latter change was an unfortunate one because it caused a supreme being to be blamed for the brutal acts that earlier writers had attributed to the very godlike custodians. That's key info right there. Key info. Because that was done with intent and is still used to this day against us. Early Mesopotamian writings gave us another famous Old Testament story, the tale of Adam and Eve. The Adam and Eve narrative is also derived from earlier Mesopotamian sources, which describe life under the custodial gods. The God or Lord God of the Bible and Adam and Eve story can therefore be translated to mean the custodial rulers of the earth. Okay, so the custodial rulers of the earth is what they were talking about. And of course, what is in the garden? The serpent, the fucking reptilians, the fucking slee stacks, for God's sakes. The story of Adam and Eve is unique in that it is entirely symbolic. Through its symbols, it provides an intriguing account of early human history. According to the Bible, Adam, who symbolizes first man, was created by God from the dust of the ground. This idea reflects the older Mesopotamian belief that Homo sapiens were created partially from clay, and then Adam's wife Eve was also created artificially. They both lived in an abundant paradise known as the Garden of Eden. Modern versions of the Bible place the Garden of Eden in the Tigris-Euphrates region of Mesopotamia. The Old Testament tells us that Adam, first man, yes, the Adamic man, was designed to be a servant. His function was to till the soil and to care for the lush gardens and crops owned by his God. As long as Adam and Eve accepted their servient status and obeyed their ever-present masters, all of their physical needs would be met, and they would be permitted to remain in their paradise indefinitely. There was, however, one unpardonable sin that they must never commit. They must never attempt to seek certain types of knowledge. Exactly. That's been traumatized into us for the longest time. Don't seek knowledge. That's a sin. Never try to find out who's providing you with this paradise. No, just continue to just live in your paradise and don't question it. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. This was programmed into us. We're just a big science experiment for these people who got drunk with power in the same way our modern day elite have and believe that they're gods. Currently on this planet, we're just repeating the vicious cycle and the deadly cycle of, some people from some other planet. Which means that there's never been a real Earth society that wasn't based on some implanted or programmed system. Which means we're due for one. Can I get a hell yeah on that? Phew, it's just really, really. You really see it when you look at it like that, don't you? They must never attempt to seek certain types of knowledge. Those forbidden forms of knowledge are symbolized in the story as two trees. The tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. The first tree symbolizes an understanding of ethics and justice. The second tree symbolizes the knowledge of how to regain and retain one's spiritual identity and immortality. So there again, the real things they don't want us to know about. Those are the things that are considered taboo, programmed into us genetically to be taboo, you see. And who would have an interest in programming that kind of thing into a species, into their DNA, so that each successive race just knows that as some sort of a law? I would think it would be some people who did not want you to figure out who these people that were calling themselves gods really are. Adam and Eve obeyed the commands of their masters and lived in marital bliss, or material bliss rather, until another party entered the scene. The intervening party was symbolized in the story as a snake. The serpent convinced Eve to partake of the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and Eve followed the serpent's suggestion, as did Adam. And the Lord God said, "Look, the man has become as one of us, knowing good from evil. And now, what if he puts forth his hand and takes also the tree of life and eats and lives forever?" Meaning, and that's in Genesis. It's Genesis 3:22. I mean, my God, Genesis, the genealogy of Isis, the gene of Isis. There it is. We can't have man knowing this, because if man knows this, that has this knowledge, then he'll be like us, the gods, and then our power will be created. You understand? That's what the elite are scared of us for, folks. That every single one of us could be gods if we had the information they have. Or at least have a power, a godlike power that would not enable evil to exist. It could cast that out and create a world of unity and togetherness. They're scared of us because we have a power that is beyond anything we believe we have if we were allowed to have the knowledge of it. That's what the secret society systems are based on. That's what the priest class system on, and that's what everything is revolved around, keeping us from ever finding out. Period. The above passage reveals an important truth echoed by many religions. A true understanding of ethics, integrity, and justice is a prerequisite to regaining one's spiritual freedom and immortality. With a foundation in ethics, full spiritual recovery becomes nothing more than a pipe dream. The custodians clearly did not want mankind to begin traveling the road to spiritual recovery. The reason is obvious. The custodial society wanted slaves. It is difficult to make thralls of people who maintain their integrity and sense of ethics. It becomes impossible when those same individuals are uncowed by physical threats due to a reawakened grasp of their spiritual immortality. My goodness, oh my God, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. Put a fucking bow on that. That about wraps up where I'm at right now. Many of you I know too. It is difficult to make thralls of people who maintain their integrity and sense of ethics. It becomes impossible when those same individuals are uncowed by physical threats due to a reawakened grasp of their spiritual immortality. See, once we know you can kill our bodies, but you can't kill who we are, and we learn how to transcend that and not come back here and reincarnate back into these bodies for these slaves to have, it's over for them. You want to talk about solutions? You want to talk about bringing it into that? That's what it is. I've told you this, and I hope you're researching it. Most importantly, if spiritual beings could no longer be trapped in human bodies, but could instead use and abandon bodies at will, there would be no spiritual beings available to animate slave bodies. As we recall, Sumerian tablets revealed a custodial intention to permanently attach spiritual beings to human bodies. Early man's attempt to escape the spiritual bondage by eating from the biblical trees, therefore, had to be stopped and fast. Therefore, the gods sent him, Adam, forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he had been taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim, angels, and a flaming sword which turned every way to shield and to prevent access to the tree of life. Genesis 3:23-24. The flaming sword symbolizes the no-nonsense measures that custodians undertook to ensure that genuine spiritual knowledge would never become available to the human race. That's what the priest class is all about. To further prevent access to such knowledge, Homo sapiens were condemned to an additional fate. And to Adam, God said, because you have listened to the urgings of your wife and have eaten from the tree of which I command you not to, saying you shall not partake of it, cursed is the ground for you. In toil you will eat its yield for all the days of your life. Thorns too and thistles will it bring forth to you. As you eat the plants from the field, by the sweat of your face will you eat bread until you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. This was a highly effective way to deal with Adam and Eve's original sin. The above passage indicates that custodial rulers intended to make humans live their entire lives and die without ever rising above the level of arduous material existence. Bingo. Bingo. That is the sick and sadistic thing that they have perpetrated upon every single one of us. And those of us who have figured this out, we're seen as the freaks. Yeah. Notice that? We've got a whole big planet full of people, folks, out there right now who are living their entire lives and dying without ever rising above the level of arduous material existence. And people believe, and they're you, they're me, they're your family members, they're your parents, they're your coworkers, they're your teachers, they're people just like you and me. And they've allowed themselves to believe that there's nothing to this life but this material existence and going to work and coming home and going to work and coming home and living and passing that on to their children so they can be in that system again and dying, and that's it. That is what they wanted. And again, those of us who have figured that out and have tried to break free of that, we're considered to be the freaks of the world. Well, no more. No more. The genie's out of the bottle now. You know why? Because we're putting it out here on this show right now. And once I say it, it opens it up for a million other people to say it. Why? Because a million other people said it before me. Now I'm saying it, and it's passing on. Then you'll say it. We are going to figure this thing out, and we are going to bring this information to the people of the world, and I will not stop in this existence or a million other ones. How about that? This would leave humans little time to seek out the understanding they needed to become spiritually free. Right. I've talked about that a million times. You know, that's where they've got us right now. Your average person can't figure out how they're going to put gas in their car to go to the job that doesn't pay them very much so they can make money to pay off the bills for that car and for the house and for the things that they need that enable them to have the slave labor. It's this big, endless fucking loop of shit. I mean, and when people are constantly bogged down in that and they're worried about, how they're going to put food on the table and feed their kids and whatever have you, they don't have time to learn about, the custodians and the Anunnaki setting all this up and putting them in that place in the first place. That's what they want, folks. That's how they win. They get us down to a subservient level where we're only thinking about survival, and then we're not worried about knowledge and finding out about this has been going on for thousands of years. These people, these elite, the New World Order, whatever you want to have, they're just the modern day purveyors of this. We were talking about from the time that human beings came into existence, there has been a systematic program of lies and disinformation executed against us. Boy, I tell you what, that gives me a lot of hope for the human potential. I mean, it really does. I mean, if we have the possibility to be such a threat to these people, my God, look what we do to each other. Look what we do to each other. Imagine if that could be, channeled in, I don't know, into energy towards doing something that would be towards people who might be a legitimate threat or something. I don't know. My goodness. Obviously, we have a potential that has led these people to believe the only way that they can keep us from reaching that is by lying to us from time immemorial. And wow, I mean, I think that's the whole thing. Definitely, the only thing that's coming in my head right now definitely reminds me of why the priest class and the Vatican, the Jesuit order infiltrated the Masonic lodges and all the secret societies and absorbed all their knowledge into their power structure. It makes total sense to me now. It made total sense to me before, but it does even more now. They wanted to make sure it was only their people from then on out that got access to this information, because before the door was wide open and people from all walks of life could get into any of these secret societies and learn this stuff. And, now, of course, it's been 300 or 400 years. That's systematically given them time to get it out of the hands, for the most part, of regular, everyday, plain Jane people. Because before that, in 1776, they were heading into a time where that information was going to reach a lot of people in the world, which could then, stop allowing the world to be populated with people. I came to the conclusion a few years ago and said this on air. It was kind of a bigger, strange thing for me to say at the time, which was, it seemed like there's all this stuff about, overpopulation. It seems that they have been allowing the world systematically over the past 100 years to become overpopulated. So at some point they can depopulate. It really seems like that to me. It says that a common misinterpretation of the Adam and Eve story is that the original sin had something to do with sex or nudity. This confusion comes from that part of the story in which Adam and Eve eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil and immediately become ashamed of their nakedness. It was not nudity, however, that shamed them. Adam and Eve were mortified by what their nakedness represented. Ancient Mesopotamian records depict human beings stark naked when performing tasks for their custodial masters. Custodians, on the other hand, were depicted as being fully clothed. The implication is that Adam and Eve felt degraded by their nakedness because it was a sign of their enslavement, not because of being naked in itself is bad. As we have seen, early humans were reported to be a constant headache to their custodial masters. The slave creatures were not only disobeyed by their rulers, but they often banded together and rebelled. Because we were made from their DNA and we were going to be enslaved any more than they were. This is the spirit we have to this day against not wanting to be a slave by these current people, because, they see us as separate from them, but we're not. This made human unity undesirable to Earth's custodial rulers. It was better that humans be disunited. One of the ways in which the problem of human unity was solved is described in the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, a tale in which also has its roots in early Mesopotamian writing. According to the Bible, this is what happened after the Great Flood. So we're going to leave it there for tonight, and we'll pick up back on that tomorrow. Great stuff tonight, man. I'll tell you what. Whew. I definitely got a lot out of reading that tonight. I hope you did too, man. I mean, that's why I love reading this stuff. Thanks again to Nick for suggesting I read this. Because, going through stuff and reading it on the air and reading it, for the first time myself with you enables me to, bring to you live the feeling I'm getting from reading this stuff. And man, I don't know. I feel like we're getting closer and closer every day. I think if we all just keep digging, we all keep researching, help keeping guys like myself alive and stuff out here. I'm feeling real optimistic about our chances of cracking a lot of this stuff and being able to have the ability to pass this information on to a new generation of human beings that will populate this planet. And I'm real proud to be standing next to each and every one of you, and that is a fact. Support our work if you can. We need donations all the time, and anything we get in here goes back into the fight. And it's been amazing what we've been able to do recently. So thank you so much to everybody out there. Please use the chip in banner there for the bills. Donate button for any other amounts. Just please support our work, folks. We need it, and we're going to push this forward into the future. And let's change it. Let's do it. Let's change the world. Fuck it. What do we have to lose? Let's do it. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow for the broadcast. You guys have a great night. Take care.